Hi friends, it's Sarah from rufflesandrainboots.com, and today I'm sharing 2 ways to make a no-sew farmhouse gnome. He's super cute. If you'd like to make him, boop, stick around. As always, please give this video a like so I know you're here. Do subscribe as well. Anyway, the likes are, helpful in the algorithm, but they're also really fun. All right, so we're gonna make this 2 ways. You can see I'm showing here with a hat or a flour sack style. Either way, you can make a cute little patch or leave it off. To get started, we're gonna grab everyone's favorite crafting fabric, drop cloth. And I'm going to use this because I already have some other crafts I'm making for Easter and spring using it. So I'm going to be using my drop cloth pieces, embroidery thread, and a large needle. I'm going to use faux fur for the beard, poly pellets for the weight, and polyfill for the stuffing. I'm going to be using scissors, a detail tip hot glue gun, and a 1-inch wood ball for the nose. You can use anything, a polymer clay nose, a felted nose, fabric stuffed with polyfill, whatever you'd like. So for a flour sack, sort of long cylindrical style, we're going to cut 8 by 10 for the body and a 3-inch base. You can go down to 2.3, or like 2 3/4, but don't go smaller than that because we need that nice rise. So on the 8-inch side, we're just going to fold it in half, and we're going to glue the 10-inch side together. So again, we're making a taller rather than wider gnome. Do leave a little tiny bit up at the top, maybe a 1/2 inch or so, that is not glued, just so that you can easily fray it if you want the style. For the base, this piece is bigger than it needs to be for a reason. So what you're going to do is, I'm going to show you 2 different ways you can actually get this on here. But the very first step to both of them is just to align one side. I usually open up the seam and align it right there. So you're going to line the outside edges together. Let that set, and then fold it in half, the body and the little base piece, and then pin it where those folded pieces happen. Now, you can either assign the base going in like this, where you tuck the base into the body and line up the outside edges, then glue it. Or my way is to flip it out like a mushroom. And I like this way just because it helps beginners a little bit better line everything up without transferring any glue. All right, so all you're gonna do is just, you can see here, let me show you, line up these 2 outside edges, press it flat, and to do that, you're just moving it around. I promise you it will all be flat. Pin that in place, and now we're gonna start gluing the other side. So now we have 2 anchor points, so if we pull, nothing will come undone. We have 3 anchor points with the part we glued, but we have 2 additional pins. Okay, so again, you can either tuck it inside the body and line them up, or you can mushroom it out and line them up. Either way, which works for you. Just make sure you're aligning the outside edges. And once you get them aligned, just press your fingers down. Okay? And I have one little place here still to do. Open ends, press, press, press. Go to the other side. Before you remove the pin, press any pieces that you can, and that's just going to make sure, it just makes it a little easy for you. Make certain that everything is staying where it needs to stay. And then remove your pins and then just do those little spots as well. That's my dog. He's going back to bed, but he had to shake to say hi. All right, so after you've let that sit and secure, drop cloth is a working fabric, means you need that glue to really set before you do this part, and that is to turn it right side out, smack it on the table, and then do what we do all the time, which is check our seams. So when you're pulling it out, you're gonna run that outside seam in your fingers just to make sure it's all flat, but also yank it apart because we do wanna make sure this is solid before we add any weight. Mine is, so I'm going to add the weight. So it's 1 cup of poly pellets, and yeah, this really happened because I was too lazy to go get a funnel. But honestly, I think I did pretty good without the funnel. Okay, moving on to the polyfill, you're just gonna rip smaller portions of it. And what that's gonna help do is make it a little easier to make sure it gets flat. If you are using something larger or less round than poly pellets, you might have to put a little bit of stuffing outside on the outside edge of your weight. But here I'm just going to really make sure it's solid so that when I squeeze it, it bounces back to its original shape. All right, so to close this up in the flour sack style, you're just going to use your thread, put it on the needle, and then about 1.5 inches down. So you're going to be able to gather the top like this in your hand. So about 1.5 to 2 inches down, whichever you prefer. You're going to put your needle in, leaving a thread out of the body, and then going back in about 1/4 inch away from where you started, and then make a running stitch all the way around. And at about the same distance away from the top. It doesn't have to be perfect because you are going to gather it and grab it all together. But, you know, strive for okay-ishness. All right. The only trick is to really start and stop right next to each other so that you have a nice tight join. That's it. Stand it up, pull the 2 long pieces of string together, and biggity bam. There you are. You've made a top that looks like a gathered up sack. So we're going to knot that 2, 3, 4 times because I'm paranoid. Add a little glue right on the knot because, again, paranoid. And then cut off those trails of embroidery thread. All right. Snippity-doo-dah. All right, so when you stand this up, you can fray it at this point, which is basically just running your fingernail or pencil or something along that line, and it will start to fray the drop cloth. Or you can wait. So, I don't know if you know this about me. I have an extensive faux fur collection, and this is what I do every time. I get asked about this a lot. How do I choose the faux fur? I'm so indecisive 90% of the time. That's what I do. Thought I'd share. All right, so either way, you're going to make sure that you're measuring against, if you're measuring by fingers, which is the way I do, just note you can start on the edge of your fur if it is not cut. This is a fabric swatch from fabric.com, which means it was cut with scissors. I can't use that edge, so I just made a starting point, measured it around the gnome to see how long I wanted it. It was 3.5 inches wide by 2.5 inches tall in sort of a rounded off V. I don't normally draw on my fur, but I wanted to show those for you who are new. It's a great idea to do so. Hold the fur taut, use an X-Acto knife and barely cut through that fabric and you will not have any transfer. It is so easy to cut faux fur this way. You don't even need to press that knife down very hard. Look, boop, that's all done. All right. You can put it on like this if you are creating the hat. However, if you are doing a faux fur or the flower sack style, I highly recommend that you tailor the top of the beard. To tailor the top of the beard, you're just going to press it down after putting a little hot glue right on the top. You're just going to press it over. And the only trick to this, I'll zoom in a little bit. The only trick to this is just to make sure it's pretty much even across the entire top. That's it. That's it. And even if you don't get it even across the top, I'm going to show you a little trick. See? We're all about tricks here. No, I'm just kidding. But after you get this on, just let it set for a second and then grab 2 things. A brush or a comb and your gnome nose. So you can see this is where I'm going to position mine. Looks great if you're not putting a hat on. I just love this look and it looks so much more tailored than when you just put a raw edge up there. I put a little bit of fur up at the top, so I brushed it, folded it to find the center, split that fur to the fabric backing, add some glue, pop on my 1-inch round. Now the reason I'm doing this is especially if you're not putting a hat on, this makes it look like a little cute little face. You got a little face now. And you can put it on, well, there you go, even it up, put it on, put the patch on, fray the top, and you're done. Or, because I know I'm going to get asked how to make a hat for it, here's how to make a hat. Use the drop cloth and you can either create your own brim or use the handy dandy brim that comes on the side of the drop cloth, which is what I'm going to do. All right, so I'm going to teach you, you just measure it. For a nice flippy floppy fold over hat, all you have to do is overlap it about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch and cut there. That's your horizontal cut. For the vertical cut, this is absolutely whatever you want to do. You can have a short hat real tight to the body or a nice floppy hat. You can put a wire in it, have a nice tall bendy hat, whatever. Either way, you're just going to put the long sides together at a 2-inch rise at the bottom, and then from 1/2 inch at the top, that creates a nice little shelf for us. You're going to cut that along the diagonal. That's it. Look at it, open up, looks sort of like a hat. Now, you're going to put right sides together, so whichever side is pretty for you, we're going to do that. And you can start here by gluing up this long edge or by adding a farmhouse tassel, which is just Dollar Tree twine with 15 loops around your hand, tied off at the top in a double knot. Then grab a portion of, here you go, twine about 1 inch away from the top, wrap it around a whole lot of times, double it up in a knot, and then, there you go, snip off the bottom. Get all the gunk off of it because it is Dollar Tree twine, and then give it a haircut. Snippity-doo-dah. Okay, to assemble this, because we have wrong sides, or we have right sides together, wrong sides out, we're going to put the tassel in by putting the glue on the shelf at the top, pointing the tassel on the inside, and then gluing up this really long edge on the side. Do you have to use a tassel? No, girl, no. You can use farmhouse beads with a cute little tag. That'll work too. Just add a long bit of twine so that you can get through that little top of the join. You can also add greenery. You can also add raffia, whatever you'd like. You can add nothing. But once you have it, just flip it right sides out. Use your scissors to press that top out, and now it's time to assemble. To assemble, make sure your beard is on the opposite side if you're doing a flower sack style, or you can cover up the entire seam in the back by putting the beard in front of it and slipping on the hat, whatever you would like to do. Once you've got your beard secured, just slip on the little Hattie McHat. You're going to line up the very back seam, pull it down, and add the glue. Ready? Boop. And then just make sure that you put the glue on the hat and the top of the nose. Make sure you don't catch any of that fur in it. And now that's on there forever. Flop down the hat if you like the style. And then I pin it in place because I wasn't sure I liked the style just yet. I decided to go a little bit extra because I'm extra. And I decided to not use drop cloth. I want to use this faux leather wide ribbon from Hobby Lobby. It's in the ribbon section. I don't know why. It's 6 inches wide. It's pretty cool stuff. So anyway, I'm going to use a gel pen, pop it on there to see if it stays. If not, I was going to get my Cricut machine out. But I didn't even have to. So I cut a little bit of burlap ribbon and then cut my little patch to fit that burlap ribbon. See, it's going to look like this. And then I raided my craft stash to find every metal and metal-ish looking piece of things that I had. Didn't like the keys, didn't like the beads, but these brads. We're going to talk about the brads. But first I'm going to practice. So I wanted to write the word home or family or something, and so I took out the Cricut thing that I never used. It says open me first, but it's great to practice on. And then I transferred that to my little leather patch, got it uneven, so I cut off the extra because I wasn't going to do that again. And then I cut into the little faux leather and put flower brads. Flower brads, I know. But they looked like stars. And I'm hoping that you also tell me they look like stars. Use the comment section and let me know. I'll show you a close-up in just a second. So I just hot glued that to the burlap and my table because burlap's got a lot of holes in it. And then I ripped it off and glued it to the front of my gnome. Before I was done, I ended up gluing down the side of my hat because I did like this look. And here it is. Now let me know. Do you honestly believe those look like stars? Let me know in the comments, what do you think? And what do you think about this guy? Would you make the flower sack style or the hat? As always, thank you for being here. Please like, please share for more crafty fun.